Welcome to another episode of the Groundwork. I'm your host, Harris Evans. My grandfather, Bert Evans, was one of the most logical, practical men that I knew. Sometimes that got him in trouble. When he was in his 20s, he was married to my grandmother, Ellen, and for one of their anniversary gifts, he bought her and him a burial site. Now, as you can imagine, she was not that happy about it. She was mad as a hornet, but he was doing what he thought was best to protect his family, like we learned about last week. And wouldn't you know it, Bert also, at his death, had a lot of intentions written down where he wanted his money to go and how he wanted it to get there. And that's what we're talking about this week, because love always trusts. Love always trusts is just a little play on words to introduce the topic of estate planning. And while trust documents can certainly be used, estate planning is really more about having a conversation about your intentions and making the right designations for your assets that match those intentions. So why is this so important? Well, to match your intentions with the follow-through can bring your family a lot of peace and reassure you that your money is going to the people and places you desire. The other reason is to simply stay out of probate, a process that can be extremely elongated, quite a headache, where there's the potential those assets may end up in the hands of someone else. So what do you need to know? Well, let's talk about some of the documents you can draft. Let's talk about one of the most inexpensive ways to know where your money's going if something were to happen to you. And finally, let's talk about some of the common mistakes that I see. So what kind of documents can we use to line out our intentions? Well, obviously we have our last will and testament. We've got trust that can get very complex very quickly, but basically they just line out where you want your assets to go outside of probate. We've got power of attorneys that basically you designate somebody that you trust to act on your behalf when you're unable to. And you also have a medical directive, which is basically maybe that same person that you trust or somebody else that allows them to make medical decisions on your behalf, once again, when you're unable to. Having all of these in place can bring you and your family a lot of peace of mind. Some of the attorneys that I refer my clients to have a set price to create an estate planning bundle that will include all of these normal documents of estate planning. One of the most inexpensive or free ways to know that if something were to happen to you, your money is going to end up where you want it to and outside of probate, is just to simply add a beneficiary to your account. The most common mistake that I see in estate planning is good intentions not matching implementation. I've seen where older, outdated documents are way too complex for today's laws, causing negative impacts on the family and the assets. I've seen where trustees have changed and the person that's now responsible isn't prepared to manage the assets. I find that it all comes back to communication, or lack thereof, between the person that has the assets, the person that's receiving the assets, and potentially the attorney that's drafting those documents. And that's why estate planning should be a collaborative conversation between spouses, family members, attorneys, and even financial advisors to make sure that those intentions match the execution. Now, the Oracle of Omaha has some sage advice about having some of these conversations with family members, and we're going to cover this in a later episode later this year. So this Valentine's season, may be time to start the conversation. And if you already have the documents in place, maybe it's time to review them, because peace of mind for you and the people that you love is worth planning for. If this has sparked some questions, let's talk. I can help with a review and/or introduce you to a local attorney that I trust, because love always trusts. And next week, we're continuing our theme with Love Always Perseveres. Looking forward to seeing you then.